Stop what you're doing immediately. In the name of Jesus, I'm ordering you to pause everything and listen, because what I'm about to tell you will change your life forever. This isn't just another video. This isn't motivational content. This isn't religious fluff. This is a divine announcement that marks the absolute end of the season you've been trapped in, the breakthrough you've been begging for, the answer you've been crying out for, the miracle you've been waiting for. It arrived, not tomorrow, not eventually, not someday, right now. As you're reading these words, as you're hearing my voice, the decree of your liberation was just signed in heaven. And I'm here as the messenger to hand you your official release papers. Your waiting is over. Your suffering has reached its expiration date. Your desert journey ends today. I know you've heard promises before. I know you've been told it's coming soon. So many times you stopped believing it. I know you've gotten your hopes up only to be crushed again. And I know that right now, part of you wants to protect yourself from another disappointment. Part of you is saying, I've heard this before. Why should this time be different? But listen to me carefully. This time is different, not because I'm saying it, because God is declaring it. And when God makes a decree, when he signs a document in the courts of heaven, when he officially closes one chapter and opens another, nothing in hell can stop it. No demon can reverse it, no circumstance can delay it, and no amount of doubt on your part can invalidate what he already established. Your liberation isn't a possibility, it's a done deal. The greatest threat you're facing right now isn't your situation. It's immediate unbelief and self-sabotage. Because the enemy knows the weight of the waiting you've carried. He knows how many times you were disappointed, how many times promises didn't pan out, how many times you believed and nothing happened. And he's using all that history to make you doubt the validity of the liberation being announced right now. He's whispering, don't get your hopes up again. You've been disappointed too many times. This is probably just another false alarm. Protect yourself. And if you listen to that voice, if you let the weight of past disappointments prevent you from receiving present deliverance, you'll miss your moment. You'll walk right past the open door because you're too wounded to believe it's really open. This message is your certificate of liberation and possession. It's not information to consider. It's an official declaration from heaven that changes your legal status in the spiritual realm. And if you close this video now, if you leave before receiving everything God is delivering, if you allow doubt to make you dismiss the authenticity of this decree, you risk invalidating it. Not because God changes his mind, but because your reception is part of the activation. The decree was signed in heaven, but it needs to be received on earth. And you're staying here until the end. Your openness to receive, your faith to believe that yes, this time is real, that now really is your moment. That's what activates the manifestation of what was already decreed in the heavens. So stay, not for me, for you, to receive what God has for you. Stay until the end to find out exactly what God released in your favor. Because it's not just one thing, it's not just provision, it's not just healing, it's not just restoration, it's a complete package. It's total transformation, it's a season change. And every aspect of that change has specific details you need to know. You have to know what was released so you can take it. You have to understand what changed so you can walk in it. You have to receive the complete revelation so you can activate the complete manifestation. And that requires you to stay, to listen, to receive until the end, without distractions, without interruptions. Because this is the most important moment of your spiritual life. The moment where years of waiting convert into instant manifestation. The moment where the wilderness ends and the promised land begins, and you cannot miss it. So take a deep breath, open your spirit, prepare your heart, and receive the most important announcement you've heard in your life. Your waiting is over. I know exactly what you've been living through. I know the deep exhaustion of carrying a heavy burden every single day, thinking the situation would never end. You wake up each morning and the weight is still there. You go to bed each night and the load hasn't decreased, and you've tried to release it. You've tried to give it to God. You've said, "It's not mine anymore, it's yours." But the next day, you pick it back up because the situation still hasn't resolved. The problem still hasn't been solved. The need still hasn't been met. And that cycle of carrying, trying to release, and picking it back up again has exhausted you. Not just physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to the point where you don't know if you have the strength to continue, where every day feels like a battle just to keep hope alive, where the simple act of believing became hard labor instead of rest for the soul. And that's not God's plan for you. That's not His design. And today that weight lifts. It leaves. It's over. The judgment from people who said, "Your faith is weak," or "God forgot about you," has been one of the deepest wounds you've carried. Because it didn't come from enemies. It came from people who should have supported you. From brothers and sisters in faith who should have stood by your side. From friends who should have believed with you. But instead, they judged you. They questioned you. They pointed at you as if your prolonged situation was evidence of your spiritual failure. As if God's delay was proof of your sin. As if the wilderness meant God had abandoned you. And their words penetrated deep, created doubts where there was certainty, planted insecurity where there was confidence, and made you question, are they right? Is my faith insufficient? Has God really forgotten me? But today, those voices are silenced. Today, those judgments are reversed. And today, God Himself is going to vindicate you, so obviously that everyone who judged you will have to eat their words. The pain of watching other people's promises get fulfilled while yours seemed on hold has been a special kind of torture. You see people who started believing after you received their miracle before you. You watch folks who prayed less than you experience breakthrough while you're still waiting. You hear testimonies of provision, of healing, of restoration, and you're happy for them. But inside you're asking, what about me? When is it my turn? Why them and not me? And that involuntary comparison has stolen your joy, made you question if God loves you as much as He loves others, if you're as important to Him as everyone else. And you've fought against those thoughts because you know they're not from God, but they keep coming back because the reality of your unchanged situation keeps feeding them constantly. The anxiety of not knowing how the next months or years would be has kept you in a state of constant tension. Because when you don't see the end of the tunnel, when you have no idea how much longer this will last, when there's not even a sign that things are improving, uncertainty consumes you, and that uncertainty becomes anxiety, perpetual worry, fear that won't leave. How am I going to pay the bills next month? How am I going to support my family if this continues? How am I going to survive if the situation doesn't change? And those unanswered questions have stolen your sleep, stolen your peace, stolen your ability to rest. Because even when you try to relax, anxiety about the unknown future torments you. The silent sacrifice of maintaining hope when there were no more human reasons to do so has been your greatest battle. Because you reached the point where there was no external evidence justifying your faith. No signs confirming God was working. No movements indicating something was about to change. And all natural indicators said, give up. There's no point anymore. It's not going to happen. But you didn't give up. Not because you were strong, but because something inside you, a spark of faith that refused to go out, kept you believing, kept you waiting, kept you holding on to the promise when it would be much easier to let it go. And that silent sacrifice, that invisible faithfulness, that perseverance nobody saw but God recorded, that's what brought you here, to this moment where you finally receive what you've been waiting for. I validate that your perseverance in waiting was the most powerful act of faith you could have done. because it's easy to believe when you see quick results. It's easy to have faith when prayers are answered immediately. It's easy to maintain hope when you see constant progress. But believing when you see nothing, having faith when everything seems to contradict what God promised, maintaining hope when time passes and nothing changes, that's not weak faith. That's powerful faith. That's faith that moves heaven. That's faith that compels God to respond, not because He's obligated, but because He honors that level of trust. And your perseverance in waiting was precisely what activated the liberation you're about to receive. The waiting time wasn't loss. I know it felt that way. I know there were moments where you thought you were wasting precious time, that you were throwing away years of your life in a meaningless wilderness. But it wasn't loss. It was preparation. It was the setting up of the stage for a victory so big, so undeniable, so obviously divine that nobody will be able to attribute it to your effort or to chance. Everyone will have to recognize it was God, that it was supernatural, that it was pure miracle, and if it had come earlier, if it had been faster, it wouldn't have had that same impact, wouldn't have generated that same testimony, wouldn't have brought that same glory to God. The time was necessary, and now you're going to understand why. The suffering you experienced was proof you could handle the glory that's coming, because glory without preparation destroys, blessing without character ruins, promotion without maturity damages. And God loved you too much to give you something you weren't ready to handle. So He used the waiting time to forge you, to develop you, to prepare you. And now that you're ready, now that you've been forged in the fire of waiting, now that you've developed the character necessary to sustain what's coming, He releases it. And what's coming is so big that if you had received it a year ago, it would have overwhelmed you. 2 years ago, it would have destroyed you. But now you're ready. And that's why it comes now. God knows the last day you cried and surrendered the situation. That moment of brokenness where you finally let go completely, where you stopped fighting, where you surrendered your need to control. And you said, through tears, God, I can't anymore. It's yours, do what you want, when you want, how you want, I surrender. That moment didn't go unnoticed. That cry reached the throne. That act of total surrender activated something in heaven, because there's special power in complete surrender, in absolute release, in unreserved trust. And when you finally did it, when you finally reached that place of total surrender, God said, now they're ready, now they can receive. He also knows the last temptation to quit that you overcame, that moment where you almost threw in the towel, where you almost said, I don't believe anymore, where you almost released the promise, but something stopped you. One last spark of faith, one last whisper from the Spirit, one last push of hope, and you decided to hold on one more day, one more week, one more month, and that and a little longer brought you here, to the day where your waiting ends, and you're going to thank God for the rest of your life that you didn't give up that day, that you didn't let go in that moment. Because you were closer than you thought. You were in the final stretch, and quitting right before the finish line would have been the greatest tragedy. You've carried this weight in solitude, because even though there were people around you, nobody really understood. Nobody could comprehend the depth of your struggle, the intensity of your battle, the magnitude of your burden, and you've smiled in public while crying in private. You've declared victory at church while battling doubt at home. You've maintained a facade of faith while inside you were falling apart. And that double weight of the situation itself and having to pretend you're okay has been slowly killing you. But today, that weight lifts. Today, that burden leaves. And today, you can finally rest. The waiting has been long, longer than you anticipated, harder than you expected, more painful than you imagined. But it wasn't in vain. Every day of waiting had purpose. Every night of tears was working something. Every moment of pain was preparing something. And now, in this moment, all that purpose is revealed. All that invisible work becomes visible, and all that pain transforms into testimony. Your waiting is over, and what's coming is so good, so big, so glorious that you're going to understand why it had to take this long. You're going to see why God waited for this specific moment, and you're going to say, it was worth it. Every tear was worth it. You've been carrying burdens that weren't even yours to carry, worries about things you couldn't control, responsibilities that were never your assignment. And the weight of all of that combined with your actual situation has been crushing. But today, God is sorting through what's on your shoulders, removing what was never yours, lifting what was too heavy, and leaving you only with what you were designed to carry. And what you were designed to carry is light, manageable, sustainable, because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And when you walk in what you were designed for instead of what was imposed on you, everything changes. The isolation you felt during this season was part of the enemy's strategy to break you. He separated you from your support system, created misunderstandings with people who would normally stand with you, built walls between you and those who would encourage you, all so you'd be alone when the hardest moments hit, because he knows isolated people are vulnerable people. But what he didn't calculate is that your isolation forced you into deeper intimacy with God, pushed you to depend on him in ways you never had before. And that intimacy, that dependency, that relationship you developed in the secret place is what's going to sustain you in the public place you're about to enter. You've been validated, your faith has been honored, your perseverance has been rewarded, and now comes your liberation. But before I give it to you, I need to show you what tactic the enemy used to make the waiting heavier than it needed to be. Because if you don't understand that, you might doubt the liberation you're about to receive. So get ready. Because what's coming is the exposure of the deception that prolonged your agony longer than necessary. Now we're going to talk about the enemy and his primary tactic against you during this waiting season. And his most effective weapon has been chronic doubt and false modesty that makes you think you're not worthy of such a great liberation. Because the enemy knows that if he can convince you that you don't deserve the miracle, you won't receive it even though God is offering it. If he can make you believe you're unworthy of the blessing, you'll reject it out of false humility. And that's been his master strategy during your waiting time. Not attacking you with obvious temptations, but with subtle thoughts that disguise themselves as humility but are actually unbelief. Who am I to receive something this big? There are holier people than me. There are more faithful folks. Why me? I don't deserve this. And those thoughts sound spiritual, they sound humble, but they're lies from hell designed to make you reject what God wants to give you by grace. Chronic doubt installed itself in your mind through the repetition of disappointments. Every time you expected a change and it didn't come. Every time you believed it was your moment and it wasn't. Every time you raised your expectations and they were crushed. All of that was building a pattern of doubt in your mind, a skepticism that activated automatically every time you heard a word of hope. Yeah, but I've heard that before. Yeah, but last time nothing happened either. Yeah, but I don't want to get my hopes up again. And that chronic doubt became a filter that blocked your capacity to receive prophetic words, to believe new promises, to have faith for what God was saying now because you were trapped in what didn't happen before. The enemy also used the voices of well-meaning people to plant more doubt, people who told you to lower your expectations, to be realistic, not to put all your hopes in a miracle, to have a backup plan. And even though these people thought they were protecting you from another disappointment, they were actually being instruments of the enemy to kill your faith. Because genuine faith doesn't have a backup plan. True faith isn't realistic by human standards. Powerful faith puts all hope in God, even when there's no natural evidence. And when you heard those voices of caution, even though you knew you shouldn't, part of you believed them. and that divided belief weakened your faith. False modesty is particularly deceptive because it disguises itself as virtue. It makes you feel like you're being humble when you're actually being unbelieving. It convinces you that you're honoring God by not demanding anything from Him, when in reality you're dishonoring Him by not believing His promises. Because when God promises you something, not receiving it isn't humility, it's an insult. It's like if someone offered you a gift and you said, "No, I don't deserve this," and rejected it. That doesn't honor the giver, it offends them. And when God offers you liberation, when He promises you blessing, when He guarantees you victory, rejecting it out of humility isn't virtue, it's unbelief in disguise. The enemy magnified every symptom that nothing was changing, every bill that remained unpaid, every pain that stayed unrelieved, every problem that continued unsolved, and he used those symptoms as evidence that God wasn't going to come through, that the promise wasn't real, that you were fooling yourself, and he bombarded you with that evidence every single day. Every morning you woke up, and there it was, the situation unchanged. And every night you went to bed, and it was still the same, the problem unsolved. And that constant repetition of contradictory evidence was designed to erode your faith gradually, day after day, drop by drop, until you almost had nothing left to believe in. He also kept you focused on how much time had passed. It's been 2 years already. It's been 5 years. If God was going to do something, He would have done it by now. Time's up. The window of opportunity closed. And those thoughts based on human time made you forget that God operates outside of time, that His delays aren't denials, that His silence isn't abandonment, but the enemy used your perception of time as a psychological weapon to convince you it was too late, that you'd missed your moment, that the promise had expired, and if you believed that, you'd stop waiting, stop believing, and never receive what was about to come. The enemy used spiritual fatigue to weaken your resistance, because he knew he couldn't steal the promise directly. But if he could exhaust you enough, you'd release it yourself, so he prolonged the battle, extended the wait, multiplied the pressures, all to fatigue you to the point where you no longer had strength to keep believing, where giving up was easier than resisting, where letting go was more attractive than holding on, and he almost succeeded. There were moments where you were on the edge of letting go, where the exhaustion was so great you thought, "I can't do this anymore. I have no more strength." But something in you, something the enemy couldn't touch, kept you holding on. And that something was God's grace sustaining you when you could no longer sustain yourself. He also planted comparison with others as a tool of discouragement. He made you look at people who received faster, who waited less, who suffered less, and planted the question, why them and not me? What do they have that I don't have? Why does God favor them and not me? And that comparison poisoned your heart, created resentment where there should have been joy for others, victories, generated envy where there should have been celebration, and made you question God's love for you, His faithfulness toward you, His commitment to you, because if He does for others, why not for you? But what the enemy didn't tell you is that each person has their appointed time, that your delay doesn't mean His rejection, and that when your moment comes, it will be so glorious that all the waiting time will be justified. The enemy made you interpret God's silence as absence. During the waiting, there were seasons where the heavens seemed like brass, where your prayers seemed to not pass the ceiling, where you didn't feel God's presence like before. And the enemy used that silence to convince you that God had abandoned you, that you no longer mattered to Him, that He'd forgotten you. But God's silence is never absence. Sometimes it's the sound of Him working in the invisible. Sometimes it's the space He creates for your faith to be exercised. Sometimes it's the pause before the most powerful answer. But the enemy distorted that silence and turned it into a weapon of torment against you. He used your past failures as prophecy over your future. Every time you tried something and it didn't work, Every time you took a step of faith and fell, every time you believed and were disappointed, the enemy recorded all of that in your memory and replayed it constantly as a movie of your future. It's going to be the same. You're going to try and fail again. You're going to believe and be disappointed again. It's a pattern. It won't change. And that false prophecy, based on your history, became a negative expectation that almost guaranteed you wouldn't receive the new thing God wanted to do, because you were expecting repetition of the past instead of manifestation of the new. The enemy also attacked your identity, made you question if you're really a child of God. Because if you were, wouldn't he have answered already? If you were really important to him, wouldn't he have intervened sooner? If you were truly loved, would he allow you to suffer this much? And those questions planted doubts about your position in Christ, about your value to God, about your importance in the kingdom. And when you doubt your identity, you doubt your right to receive. When you question your position, you question your access. And the enemy knew that if he could make you doubt who you are, you could be standing in front of the door of your blessing and not enter because you don't believe you have the right. He kept you looking backward instead of forward, focused on what you lost instead of what you're going to receive, counting the years that passed instead of anticipating the glory that's coming. And that orientation toward the past stole your capacity to see the future, to perceive what God was preparing, to anticipate the blessing that was about to manifest, because while your eyes were on what was, you couldn't see what's coming. And what's coming is so big, you need all your eyes focused forward to receive it completely. He used discouragement as a daily weapon, every morning bringing thoughts of nothing's going to change today either. Every evening whispering, see, another day wasted. Every week reinforcing it's been another 7 days with no progress. And that constant drip of discouragement was designed to wear down your resolve, to make you so used to disappointment that you'd stop expecting anything different, to normalize your wilderness so you'd accept it as permanent reality instead of temporary season. But discouragement is a liar. And what it said wouldn't change is about to transform completely. But today, all those tactics are exposed. Today, all those lies are unmasked. Today, all that enemy strategy is dismantled, because now that you see how he operated, now that you understand his plan, you can reject it completely. You can break the power of chronic doubt. You can destroy false modesty. You can cancel every voice that planted unbelief. And you can receive your liberation without mental obstacles, without emotional blockages, without spiritual barriers, because the truth sets you free. And the truth is, you deserve this liberation, not by your works, by his grace, not by your perfection, by his love. And what comes now is the great revelation of exactly what was released in your favor. Get ready, because it's bigger than you imagine. The moment of great revelation has arrived, the moment where you're finally told exactly what was released in your favor. And I need you to open your spirit completely to receive this, because it's massive. It's not a small blessing. It's not partial relief. It's not a minor change. It's total and irrevocable liberation. It's a decree from heaven that cannot be reversed, that cannot be cancelled, that cannot be stopped. And when you understand the magnitude of what was just released for you, when you comprehend the scope of this miracle, when you see the size of this provision, you're going to fall to your knees in worship, because this isn't something you could have accomplished. It's not something time would have resolved. It's pure divine intervention. It's supernatural miracle. And it's happening now. The nature of this miracle is the rapid turnaround that compensates for lost time. God is accelerating processes that would naturally take years. He's compressing seasons that should last decades. He's condensing time supernaturally so that what you lost is restored, multiplied. Joel 2:25 isn't just a nice verse. It's a promise activating over your life now. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Every year you felt you lost waiting. Every month that passed without results. Every day that went by without progress. All of that is being restored, not in the same time it took to lose. In accelerated time, multiplied, compressed. What took you 5 years to lose, God returns in 5 months. What the enemy stole in a decade, God restores in a year, because when God restores, He doesn't just return, He multiplies. This isn't a partial change, it's a complete status transformation. Right now, you're in a status of waiting, of need, of lack, but when this decree activates completely, when this liberation manifests totally, your status changes. You're no longer the one waiting. You're the one possessing. You're no longer the one needing. You're the one having. You're no longer the one suffering scarcity. You're the one experiencing abundance. And that status change isn't gradual, it's instantaneous in the spiritual realm. And it manifests rapidly in the natural realm. Because when God changes your status in the heavens, everything on earth has to align with that new reality. In the area of time comes liberation of time that was imprisoned or delayed. You've felt like your life is on pause, that while others advance, you're stuck. That time passes, but your situation doesn't progress. That's because your time was imprisoned, bound, blocked in the spiritual realm. But today that blockage breaks, that time is released, and what was stopped begins to move, quickly, powerfully. And you're going to experience in the next months what should have taken years. You're going to accomplish in weeks what others take decades, because your time was released. And with it comes supernatural acceleration that compensates for everything you felt you lost. In the financial area comes liberation of resources to honor your debts and initiate a new cycle of provision. Not just money to survive, abundant resources to prosper. And these resources aren't going to come from the sources you expected. They're going to appear from places you didn't anticipate, in ways you didn't plan, from hands you didn't know. Because God has 1,000 ways to provide for you. And during your waiting time, He was preparing multiple sources of provision, positioning people, opening doors, creating opportunities. And now all those sources activate simultaneously. And the financial flow you experience is going to be so abundant, so unexpected, so obviously supernatural that everyone will know it was God. The debts that have been tormenting you are going to be cancelled, not little by little, quickly, in ways you can't explain naturally. Someone's going to pay something you didn't expect. An opportunity is going to appear that generates the exact resources you need. A forgotten resource is going to be released at just the right moment. And what seemed impossible to pay gets paid. What seemed like a permanent burden lifts. And you enter a new cycle where you're no longer dominated by debt, where you no longer live pursued by creditors, where you can breathe financially for the first time in years. In the area of peace and rest comes liberation from the burden of anxiety. Philippians 4:6-7 activates over your life with full power. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. That anxiety that's been killing you, that constant worry that steals your sleep, that perpetual tension that exhausts you emotionally, all of that lifts now. Not because you learned stress management techniques, because God removed the source of stress, because the situation causing the anxiety is being resolved. And when the situation changes, anxiety leaves naturally. You're going to be able to rest, sleep deeply, wake up renewed. For the first time in years, your mind is going to be at peace. Your heart is going to be calm. Your spirit is going to be at rest because the battle ended. The waiting is over. And now you can enjoy the new season God is initiating, without the burden of the past, without the anxiety of the future, just present, enjoying what God is doing now, celebrating the victory that finally arrived, and that rest, that peace, that joy are going to be visible evidence to everyone that something changed, that your season turned, that God intervened. Now let me tell you about the backstage, about what God is doing in the invisible that produces the visible. He's closing the floodgates of hell that were draining your energy. During this waiting time, there were spiritual portals open that allowed the enemy to drain your strength, to steal your joy, to block your provision. But today, God Himself is closing those portals, sealing those floodgates. And what was being drained stops. And what should flow to you begins, and you're going to feel the change, a return of energy you didn't have, a resurgence of joy you had lost, a restoration of hope that almost went out. God is also reversing sentences that were pronounced against you, words of curse that someone spoke, negative decrees that were declared, unjust judgments that were issued. All of that is being reversed in the heavenly court. And where there was a sentence of failure, now there's a decree of success. Where there was a pronouncement of scarcity, now there's a declaration of abundance. Where there was a verdict of defeat, now there's a sentence of victory. And those reversals aren't just words. They're legal realities in the spiritual realm that change your natural reality. He's expelling the spirit of delay that was operating over your life. That spirit that made you always arrive late, that made you always miss opportunities, that made you always be one step behind. That demonic spirit specifically assigned to delay you is being cast out by God's power. And when it leaves, acceleration arrives, divine timing activates, and you begin to be in the right place at the right time. Doors open just when you arrive. Opportunities appear exactly when you need them, and everything flows with perfect timing because the spirit of delay was expelled and the spirit of divine timing was activated. An angel of immediate provision is being sent with a specific assignment for you. This angel has clear instructions from God's throne. Provide for your needs immediately and supernaturally. And this angel doesn't just bring provision, it brings favor, opens doors, connects people, creates opportunities, and works in the invisible world so that what you need arrives in the visible world, and you're going to see evidence of its work. Provisions you can't explain, resources that appear from nowhere, opportunities that present themselves without you looking for them. All of that is the angel of immediate provision executing its assignment. Isaiah 61:2 is fulfilled over your life now. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. But the Lord will arise over you, and His glory will be seen upon you. The darkness that covered you lifts, the long night ends, and your day dawns, your time of light, your season of glory. And that light isn't timid, it's radiant, bright, undeniable. And everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to notice the change. Everyone's going to recognize that something divine happened in your life. Joel 2:25 guarantees restitution. So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, and the chewing locust. Not just restitution, multiplied restitution. Not just recovery, restoration with interest. Not just return, abundant compensation. Every lost year returned multiplied, every stolen opportunity restored with increase, every blocked blessing released in avalanche. Because when God restores, He does it generously, abundantly, supernaturally. Philippians 4:6-7 establishes your new normal. Peace that surpasses all understanding, guarding your heart and mind. Not circumstantial peace that depends on everything being okay. Supernatural peace that remains, even though there are challenges. Divine peace that guards your heart from anxiety and your mind from worry. And that peace is your new reality, your new normal state, your new daily experience. because the season of anxiety is over and the season of peace began. The liberation is total, it's irrevocable, it's complete, and it's happening now. You don't have to wait anymore. You don't have to beg anymore. You don't have to convince God. It's already decided. It's already decreed. It's already released. And the only thing missing is for you to receive it, to take it, to possess it. And you do that with your declaration, with your faith, with your obedience. And that happens now, in the next block, the block of authority, where you declare that you receive everything that was released. Take a deep breath, because your life is about to change completely. Now I'm going to speak to you with the authority given to me as a messenger of the Most High and as the carrier of the decree of your liberation. And what I'm about to declare over your life are not suggestions. They're not possibilities. They're not hopes. They are orders from God's throne that execute right now in the spiritual realm and manifest progressively in your natural reality. I decree over you in this moment, your waiting is over. The wilderness time ended. The cycle of frustration broke. The pattern of delay was destroyed. And I declare that the total liberation God promised is being activated over your life now, not tomorrow, not next week, now, in this instant, as you're hearing these words. And that liberation isn't conditional, it's not eventual, it's not partial, it's total, it's immediate, and it's irrevocable. I break every spirit of delay that was operating over your life, every demon assigned to set you back. I cast it out now in the name of Jesus. Every portal of hell that was draining your energy, I close it now with the blood of the Lamb. Every spiritual floodgate that allowed the theft of your provision, I seal it now with the fire of the Holy Spirit. And I decree that what was being drained stops, what was being stolen returns, what was being blocked is released. And your life enters a supernatural flow of blessing, of provision, of victory that doesn't depend on your effort, but on God's grace operating powerfully in your favor. Isaiah 60:1-2 activates with full power over your life. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. I decree that you rise now from the position of waiting, that you shine now with God's glory upon you, that your light has come, not is coming, has come. Your time of darkness ended, your season of shadows is over, and your day dawns, your time of radiance, your season of manifested glory. And that glory isn't invisible, it's visible, tangible, undeniable, and everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to notice something changed in you. Everyone's going to recognize that God visited you in a special way. Joel 2:25 is fulfilled in your life now. So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. I decree total restitution of everything that was stolen. Every year you lost waiting is restored, multiplied. Every opportunity that slipped away is returned, improved. Every blessing that was blocked is released, amplified. And what the enemy ate in years, God returns in months. What was destroyed in decades, God restores in weeks, because when God restores, He accelerates time, compresses processes, and manifests in little time what would naturally take much. Philippians 4:6-7 establishes your new normal now. Be anxious for nothing, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. I decree that the anxiety that tormented you leaves now. The worry that stole your sleep lifts now. The tension that exhausted you emotionally breaks now. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding floods your heart, your mind, your spirit. And that peace doesn't depend on everything being resolved. That peace exists even though there are challenges, because it's supernatural peace, divine peace, peace that only God can give. And now it's yours. Now hear the specific instructions God gave me for you. First, declare the end of your waiting. Say out loud now, my waiting is over. I take possession of my total liberation. I receive now everything God released for me. The wilderness time ended. The cycle of frustration broke, and I enter now into my season of manifestation, of provision, of victory. Say this with authority, with conviction, with absolute faith, because when you declare it, you're not making an empty confession. You're establishing a spiritual reality that manifests naturally. Your verbal declaration activates your practical liberation. So say now, out loud, with all your being, my waiting is over. Second, enter the rest. Release the worry, leave the anxiety, abandon the control. Because if you keep trying to solve everything with your effort, if you continue carrying everything with your strength, if you persist in controlling everything with your strategy, you're blocking what God wants to do supernaturally. Rest isn't inactivity, it's active trust. It's releasing so God can do what you can't do. It's stopping your striving so His power can operate without obstacles. So do an act of faith right now. Physically raise your hands, open your palms upward and say, "At God, I release, I rest, I trust. You do what I cannot do." And when you do that, when you genuinely release, something is freed in heaven that produces change on earth. Third, celebrate and give thanks. Don't wait to see the complete manifestation to be grateful. Thank Him now. Celebrate now. Because genuine faith thanks before seeing, believes before receiving, celebrates before manifesting. So say now, "Thank you, Father, because my liberation arrived. Thank you because my waiting is over. Thank you because you're doing something new. Thank you because everything is changing. Thank you because your promise is being fulfilled now." And when you thank before seeing, you activate the manifestation of what you thanked for. Because your gratitude is faith in action. It's expressed confidence. It's declared certainty. I decree over your time, divine acceleration. Processes that should take years happen in months. Changes that should require decades occur in weeks. Transformations that should take a lifetime manifest in seasons, because God is compressing time. He's accelerating processes. He's manifesting rapidly what He promised, and you're going to experience supernatural speed in your progress, in your advancement, in your transformation. What was slow becomes fast. What was stopped begins to move, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. I decree over your finances total liberation. The resources you need to get out of debt are being released now. The doors of provision that were closed open now. The sources of income that were blocked flow now, and the money you need appears from places you didn't expect, at moments you didn't anticipate, in ways you didn't plan, because God isn't limited to your known sources. He has infinite resources, and He's directing them toward you now, and you're going to experience supernatural provision you can't explain naturally, that you can only attribute to God's hand moving powerfully in your favor. I decree over your peace, complete restoration. The sleep you lost to anxiety is restored. The rest that worries stole from you is returned. The tranquility that uncertainty took from you is restituted. And you sleep deeply, rest completely. Live calmly, because the source of your anxiety was removed. The problem that stole your sleep is being resolved. And God's peace that surpasses all understanding guards your heart and mind in such a way that nothing can disturb it. Not circumstances, not people, not demons, nothing. I break every negative sentence that was pronounced against you, every word of curse someone spoke. I cancel it now. Every decree of failure that was issued, I annul it now. Every verdict of defeat that was declared, I reverse it now. And instead of curse, I decree blessing. Instead of failure, I decree success. Instead of defeat, I decree victory. And what was spoken in darkness to destroy you is replaced by what God speaks in light to establish you. And his word over you is more powerful than all words against you. And his decree in your favor nullifies every decree against you. I decree angels of immediate provision being sent now with specific assignments for you. These angels have clear instructions: provide, open doors, connect people, create opportunities, and they're working now in the invisible, so you see results in the visible. And you're going to experience provisions you didn't seek, connections you didn't plan, opportunities you didn't expect. All of that is evidence of angelic work activated by the divine decree that was released over your life. Now, I close every door of hell that was draining your energy, every demonic portal that allowed theft of joy, of peace, of provision. I seal it now with the blood of Jesus, and what was flowing toward the enemy stops, and what should flow toward you begins, and you experience return of energy you didn't have, resurgence of joy you had lost, restoration of hope that almost went out, because the floodgates of hell were closed and the windows of heaven were opened. And now what flows to you isn't theft but blessing, not defeat but victory, not scarcity but abundance. The instructions have been given, the decrees have been released, the authority has been activated, and your liberation is in process. Your waiting didn't end because you did something to deserve it, but because God, in his grace, decided it was time, your moment, your kairos. And what comes now is manifestation, evidence, testimony. Take a deep breath, because your life changed, your season turned, and everything is different from now on. Now let's talk about your reward, about what comes after your waiting ended, about the life that begins when the wilderness terminates, about the reality you manifest when liberation activates. Because when God puts an end to your waiting time, when he closes the chapter of your wilderness, when he releases what was withheld, suffering doesn't just stop. Glory begins. Lack doesn't just cease. Abundance starts. Pain doesn't just end. Joy initiates. And what you experience after liberation is so powerful, so transformative, so glorious that it justifies every day of waiting, that redeems every tear shed, that compensates every moment of pain. And when you live it, when you experience it, when you testify about it, you're going to say, it was worth it. Every single second of waiting was worth it for what I received at the end. The first reward is undeniable testimony that brings glory to God and hope to others. Because your liberation story isn't just for you. It's for everyone in the wilderness needing to know there's a way out. For everyone waiting needing to know God fulfills. For everyone about to quit needing to know it's worth resisting. And when you share how God liberated you, how your waiting ended, how your situation changed, your testimony activates faith in others, awakens hope in discouraged hearts, ignites fire in extinguished spirits, and many who are about to let go find strength to continue because your story showed them God is faithful, that waiting has an end, and that liberation is real. The second reward is public vindication before everyone who judged you. Those people who said God forgot you, that your faith was weak, that you were doing something wrong. That's why you remained in the wilderness. All of them are going to see your liberation. They're going to witness your transformation. They're going to be spectators of your victory, and they're going to have to swallow their words. They're going to have to admit they were wrong. They're going to have to recognize God never forgot you. And that vindication isn't to inflate your ego. It's to glorify God, to demonstrate He defends His own, to prove His timing is perfect even when it seems late. And your life becomes living evidence that God is faithful even when everything seems to contradict His promise. The third reward is permanent peace that replaces chronic anxiety. You're going to sleep deeply without worries waking you in the early morning hours. You're going to wake up rested without anxiety pressing on your chest. You're going to live your day with tranquility without fear of the future paralyzing you, because the source of your anxiety was removed. The problem that stole your sleep was resolved. And God's peace that surpasses all understanding guards your heart and mind so powerfully that nothing can disturb it. And that peace isn't just emotional, it's spiritual, it's supernatural. It's God's very presence established in you in such a way that His tranquility becomes your new normal. The fourth reward is abundant provision that doesn't just cover your needs, but allows you to be generous. Because God doesn't liberate you from scarcity to leave you barely surviving. He liberates you so you prosper, so you have more than enough, so you can give, bless others, and you're going to experience a financial flow you never had. Resources arriving from multiple sources, opportunities presenting themselves without you looking for them, provision appearing just when you need it, and not just for you, for your family, for your ministry, for your purpose. Because when God provides, He provides abundantly, generously, supernaturally, and you become a channel of blessing for others. The debts that tormented you are cancelled completely, not little by little, quickly, in ways you can't explain. Someone forgives a debt, an unexpected resource covers a balance, an opportunity generates exactly what you need to close that account. And what seemed like a perpetual burden disappears. What you thought you'd carry for years resolves in months, and you enter financial freedom you haven't experienced in a long time, where you no longer live pursued by creditors, where you no longer wake up anguished about unpaid bills, where you can breathe without the weight of debt constantly oppressing you. Your joy is restored in a way everyone notices. There's a brightness in your eyes you didn't have before, a smile on your face that had disappeared, a lightness in your spirit that was lost. And people around you perceive it. What happened to you? You look different. There's something changed about you. And you're not faking it. It's that the burden lifted, the weight left, and your natural joy returned. The joy the wilderness had stolen is restored, multiplied, and you live with genuine happiness that doesn't depend on everything being perfect, but on knowing God liberated you, that He fulfilled His promise, and that you're in a new season. Your confidence in God multiplies exponentially because you finally saw He fulfills, that His promises are real, that His timing is perfect, and that experience of seeing liberation manifest, of experiencing the end of waiting, of living the fulfillment of the Word, gives you faith nobody can shake. It's no longer theoretical faith. It's proven faith. It's no longer vague hope. It's experienced certainty. And that confidence allows you to face future challenges with authority. Because if God liberated you from this, He can liberate you from anything. If He fulfilled this promise, He'll fulfill any promise. And you walk with the security of someone who knows they have a God who does the impossible. The relationships that tensed during your wilderness are restored. Because you change, your energy changes. You no longer project your frustration on others. You no longer discharge your anxiety on them. You no longer expect them to fill voids only God could fill. And when you stop demanding from them what they can't give, when you stop pressuring them with your need, relationships improve naturally. Communication flows, tension decreases, and connections strengthen, because now you interact from a place of fullness instead of lack, from abundance instead of need, and that transforms the relational dynamic completely. Your family experiences tangible relief, because they were also carrying the weight of your situation, worrying about you, suffering with you, waiting alongside you. But now that your liberation arrived, now that your waiting ended, they also rest, They no longer have to worry so much. They no longer have to carry your emotional burden. They no longer have to live under the tension of your unresolved situation. And that gives them peace, which gives you peace. Because one of the heaviest burdens was knowing your suffering affected those you love. And now that burden lifts, and the entire family dynamic improves because you improved. Your legacy changes from a story of suffering to a testimony of victory. Future generations aren't going to remember you as someone stuck their whole life. They're going to remember you as someone who waited until they received, who persevered until they won, who maintained faith until they saw manifestation. And that legacy is powerful because it teaches, because it inspires, because it demonstrates it's worth not giving up, worth continuing to believe, worth maintaining hope. And your children are going to grow up knowing their father or mother was someone who faced a long wilderness and came out victorious. And that story is going to be their spiritual inheritance, more valuable than any material inheritance. Your purpose activates with clarity and power because during the wilderness, although you had a general sense of your calling, you didn't have complete clarity. But now that you came out, now that you were liberated, your purpose clarifies. You see with precision what God prepared you for in the wilderness. You understand why the process was so long. You comprehend what it developed in you that you needed for your assignment. And you walk in your purpose with confidence, with authority, with power, because the wilderness didn't destroy you. It forged you, prepared you, equipped you, and now you're ready to fulfill your assignment with excellence. Your influence expands beyond what you imagined, because your testimony opens doors, your story creates opportunities, your transformation attracts invitations, and you find yourself speaking in places you never thought you'd be, ministering to people you never thought you'd reach, impacting lives in ways you never anticipated. Because when God liberates you, He doesn't just change your personal situation, He positions you for public impact, establishes you as living testimony, and uses your story to transform others' stories. And what began as your personal liberation becomes a movement of collective liberation. The reward is manifesting. The glory is arriving. The testimony is being born. And all because your waiting ended, because God fulfilled, because liberation arrived. And what comes now is the final sealing, the action that confirms everything, the moment where you publicly declare you received. And that public declaration is what activates the fullness of everything prophesied. Get ready, because the final moment has arrived. We've arrived at the final moment, the decisive moment where everything revealed gets sealed with your immediate response. Because liberation has already been decreed, the waiting has already been declared over, the provision has already been released. But all of this reaches its complete manifestation when you respond, when you declare, when you act in obedience to what God spoke. This isn't a moment for analysis. It's not time for consideration. It's not an hour to think about it. It's a moment for action, for declaration, for possession. And that response has to be now. Not tomorrow when you feel more prepared, not next week when you have more clarity. Now, in this instant. Because this is your moment, your kairos, your appointed time. And if you let it pass, if you postpone your response, you don't lose the blessing forever, but you delay its manifestation. And every day without declaring your liberation is one more day under the weight that was already legally lifted in heaven, but you still practically carry on earth. The first declaration of faith I need you to make is this: the waiting is over. I take possession of my total liberation. Say it out loud, now. Don't just think it. Don't whisper it timidly. Declare it with authority, with conviction, with absolute faith. Because when you declare the waiting is over, you're not making a premature announcement. You're confirming a decree that was already signed in heaven. You're establishing on earth what's already reality in the heavens. And when you declare, you take possession of your total liberation. You're not being presumptuous, you're being obedient. You're exercising the authority Jesus gave you. You're claiming what God already granted you. So say now, with all the power of your voice, with all the conviction of your spirit, the waiting is over. I take possession of my total liberation. The second declaration is, I receive this message as the most important of my life, because it's not an exaggeration. This message, this revelation, this decree marks a before and after in your history. It divides your life into two eras, before liberation and after liberation. And when you declare you receive it as the most important message, you're giving it the weight it deserves. You're treating it with the seriousness it requires. You're honoring it with the response it demands. It's not just another message. It's not content to consume and forget. It's prophetic word that changes your reality. It's divine decree that transforms your situation. It's announcement from heaven that puts an end to your wilderness. So say with total sincerity, I receive this message as the most important of my life. The third and most powerful declaration is, what was imprisoned has been liberated. I am free. This is your proclamation of freedom, your victory cry, your announcement that chains broke, that doors opened, that the prison was destroyed. And when you declare it, when you proclaim it with faith, when you announce it with authority, it's established in both realms. In heaven as confirmation of what God decreed, on earth as manifestation of what was released. Your time was imprisoned, now it's free. Your resources were blocked, now they flow. Your peace was stolen, now it's restored. Everything that was bound was loosed, everything that was closed was opened, and you are free, not waiting for freedom. Free now, so shout with all your being. What was imprisoned has been liberated. I am free. Now I need you to do something specific as an act of faith, like this video as your amen, that the waiting is over. That like isn't casual. It's not insignificant. It's your public agreement with God's decree. It's your seal of approval on the prophetic word. It's your way of saying, yes, Lord, I receive this. I believe this. I declare my waiting is over. And in the spiritual realm, that simple act of obedience activates angelic forces, releases prepared blessings, opens doors that were waiting for your response, because your participation is part of the activation. And that like is your participation. So do it now. Not as a favor to me, as an act of faith for you, as your sealing that you received the most important message of your life. Subscribe to this channel to remain in your new season with God, because this liberation you received today isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the start of a new season. And in that new season, you need new instructions, fresh revelations, continuous decrees that keep you advancing, and God uses this channel to deliver those words at the exact time, to give you the strategies you need in each phase, to reveal to you the secrets that keep you prospering in your new season. And if you're not subscribed, if you're not connected, you're going to miss critical words at critical moments. So subscribe now. Turn on notifications and stay connected to the source of revelation God is using to establish you in your new season. Go to the comments right now and write, "My waiting is over," to seal the decree. Write it in capital letters, because this is a declaration of victory. It's your public testimony that something massive happened in your life today. It's your way of establishing a marker, a reference point where everything changed. And when you write it publicly, when you declare it where others can see, you're creating a record, a testimony, a stake in the ground that marks this moment of liberation. And that public confession has spiritual power, because with the heart one believes unto righteousness, but with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Your complete liberation requires you to publicly confess what God did. So go now to the comments and write in capitals, "My waiting is over." And when you do, feel it. Believe it. Own it. Share this message with someone who needs to know their time of suffering also ended. Think right now of that person you know who's in the wilderness, who's waiting, who's tired, who's about to quit, and send them this video, because this decree that liberated your life can liberate theirs. This announcement that ended your waiting can end theirs. And when you share, when you become a carrier of good news for another, your own liberation multiplies. Because the kingdom law says, what you give, you receive multiplied. What you sow, you harvest abundantly. And when you share the word of liberation, more liberation comes to you. So share this video now with whoever God puts on your heart. And be the instrument God uses to end someone else's wilderness. This is your moment of total celebration. Your waiting is over. Not because you deserved it, because God is faithful. Not because you were perfect, because He is merciful. Not because you did everything right, because His grace is sufficient. And what comes now, what you experience from today, what you manifest in the coming days, weeks, and months, is tangible evidence that God fulfills, that His promises are real, that His timing is perfect, and all the pain of the wilderness is redeemed. All the tears of waiting are justified, and all the frustration of the process transforms into glorious testimony. You're no longer the one waiting. You're the one possessing. You're no longer the one suffering. You're the one celebrating. You're no longer the one asking when. You're the one declaring now, because your waiting is over. Your liberation arrived, and your life changed completely. My waiting is over.